I'm Jordan Richardson from Smarsh. I'm a product manager. And for those of you who don't know what Smarsh is, we are an e-discovery, compliance, and archiving platform with a focus on financial services and any other regulated industries that you can think of. Our business was built on financial services, so that's what most of our product is geared around. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of brief overview. We've been around since 2001. We are headquartered here in Portland. We're over by Pioneer Square in the old Web Trends building. Actually, we've occupied 3 of the floors in the building that they used to occupy, for those of you who know where that was at. We have approximately 20,000 different customers, actually a lot more than that, but that's about our average. And we have about a 95% retention rate currently from the current set of customers over the last 10 years, roughly. Our product that we offer is really a platform. It's really a SaaS-based product. We don't offer any on-prem solutions or any software that gets installed. And its focus is on basically these main bullet points here, which is searching of your archived data, applying policies to those archived messages or that archived data, e-discovery case workflow, and administration of the workflow. The product offering supports over 40 different content types, ranging from email to text messaging to Facebook posts to LinkedIn messages, you name it, we pretty much archive everything. Our content list is constantly growing on a regular basis. We're adding new content every single release we do. We just recently added support for Slack, so now we can archive Slack teams for companies that want to utilize Slack in their regulated industry. They can now do that securely without any issues. Our platform is geared around policies and building intelligent rules that will help you monitor your employees' use of data based on the regulation that you have to follow, or any internal corporate or legal policies that you want to put in place. It makes it really easy to manage the data because the platform will run these policies against the content as it's being archived in the platform based on some complex rules that you've built ahead of time. In addition to that, we also provide some key features to financial services that are required by FINRA and the SEC, which is that we attest that we're a third-party archive, which means that we are storing your data in its original format, unmodified, in worm storage. For those of you who are familiar with financial services regulation, you'll understand what that means. It's really important, and not everybody can do it. So this is an example of some of the content that we archive. I mentioned earlier that we archived over 40 different kinds of content. Some of the ones that are gray up here are things that we're in the works on. You'll notice there's some big names up there like AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon, Box. We've got some deals in the works with various vendors and mobile partners. We're even looking across seas. We do have a European office. We're looking to expand that and bring even more content in from platforms like WeChat is popular in foreign countries. I know it's not as popular here, but that's something we get a lot of questions and people asking to provide support for that. We recently added Hootsuite to our lineup of our product offering. So they're a partner of ours, along with many other companies up here. Office 365, you name it, we pretty much do it. Pinterest. So I'm going to go ahead and jump over real quick to a demo. And I've already logged into the platform, but essentially what happens is every one of our customers gets administrator accounts where they can log into the platform, manage their users, create additional reviewers, create IT personnel to manage various connections to services. What I'm going to show you today is if I was a reviewer or a compliance officer, I'd come into the platform to review messages. I might want to perform a search for messages for Facebook specifically to see what employees have been posting on Facebook and review the messages in an e-discovery type workflow. So right now I just clicked on a search that I had previously done earlier. It's running the search against our database. And one of the pieces of our database that's really important is we run on the Solar platform, for those of you who are familiar with that. So our entire system is indexed by Solar. And so we have dramatically fast results. We can return hundreds of thousands of messages in a matter of seconds if someone's doing a search across the content. And that search can go across our entire content base. So if you're archiving 10 or 15 different pieces of content, text messages, phone calls, emails, Facebook posts, private IMs, you can search across your employees' entire set of content for certain phrases, keywords, conversations that they may have had, an email that then they took to IM, that they took to text message, and you can find all those conversations together. The results that we see on the screen here is showing me that I specifically searched for Facebook, so I only see results on the left here that are Facebook related. And this is fake data, so we have a Jane Smith user, and this is particularly a profile. So if I click on this, it's going to open up the message detail pane, and I'm going to be able to review Jane Smith's profile. And this is what her profile looked like as of November 24th at 6:03 p.m. If I want to see what it looked like prior to that, I can click this compare option, and it will quickly load and compare what was changed from the prior time the archiving service actually captured this. And in this case, it looks like the link to the profile was modified slightly. This was probably something Facebook did. But if they had changed, say, their gender or their relationship status or who they worked for, then that would be highlighted real easily for the workflow to be displayed. Is that my click?
You got a couple more minutes.
Okay. Couple other types of messages that are in here is posts, and along with posts, you can have media, obviously. So in this particular instance, there's a video. The video loads inline. I can play the video. So I can see exactly what the employee posted to Facebook. This video is actually stored in our archive. It's not playing it live from Facebook. It's a copy of the original video as it was when they posted it. I can download it to my local workstation. I can add it to an e-discovery or a legal case if I want to produce it in any kind of litigation. It could have been a work-related video that had a hidden message in it, perhaps, or an advertisement or something that maybe a financial advisor tried to get past the rules. And real quick, I want to just show when there is a conversation that occurs, we have conversation threading, and unfortunately the resolution is kind of weird because of the projector, but you can see that this is a threaded conversation between Jane Smith and James Smith, and they've been having a private IM back and forth on Facebook, and I can browse this threaded conversation and I can get full context of what they actually were talking about. So maybe my search results only returned this particular message because of the keyword I searched for, but then I can also see, well, why did they say that? And if I need to go back even farther, I can load previous messages going back 5 messages at a time. The biggest value to this is that as a compliance officer or as a reviewer, I can select messages. And then over here on the right, this is our e-discovery workflow pane. I can do things to the messages in the platform. I can add metadata to them or change metadata about them. For instance, if I want to make a note about this, that I reviewed it, I can make a comment if I want to. I can also assign it to another person in our organization for follow-up. I can maybe assign it to compliance reviewer too. And I can also add it to an e-discovery workflow case. A case is literally just a grouping of messages that I can take action on. I can export them, or I can assign them to somebody for further review, or maybe they're part of an actual legal case. And that essentially is what the workflow does here. So I updated the messages, and now those messages have that new metadata associated with them. There's a complete audit history of every single thing I do in the platform. Every single time I view a message, it marks that I viewed the message, that I visually inspected it. If I make an action on it, it records the action I took on it. So that's about it. Does anybody have any questions?
So does this just track company accounts, or can you track people's personal Facebook accounts with it too?
So social is just one little piece of all that we do, and for social specifically, as a company administrator, I'm allowed to, or I'm able to, activate and provision accounts that are ranging from your personal account if you work for me as an employee and you're going to use your personal Facebook, and we have an agreement that in order for you to use your personal Facebook and work for my company that we have to archive it. You have to authorize me to do it, but I can archive your page. We don't archive social accounts without the person who owns that account knowing they have to take action and authorize it. And this is just an example of what the administration tool looks like for Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and you can see, like, for instance, this means that this user of our system has this Instagram account provisioned. And I can see when it was last archived, I can see if it stops archiving because they revoked access or some error occurs. I can reissue them a renewal, so I can monitor it. Neither?
What's your biggest selling point? Does something have to happen? Is there a reactionary process for somebody to really be on board with wanting to grab this product and use it?
No, actually it's the opposite. It's a proactive approach, and this is because of regulations from FINRA and the SEC and other regulatory bodies. They require organizations, anyone in here who works in financial services probably knows about this and is currently being archived, or some division of their company is being archived. Banks that have a securities division that are selling stocks. Those people who do that, who are financial advisors, they have to have their email and all their communication archived. It's required by law on a proactive basis. You can thank Enron for that. One more?
Are all of these archives maintained on Smarsh infrastructure instead of any sort of confidentiality?
Yes. So all of the data is stored in our data center. We are a SaaS-based product, and like I said, all of the data is stored indexed in the solar environment, and then we have vault servers that store the actual original content. It's completely secured and monitored. I'm not a security expert, so I can't go into details, but we do sell encryption at rest that customers own the keys to if they want to subscribe to that. Do we have more time? Or? Okay.
Are you able to go back and collect data at rest, or is it only grabbing stuff that's in motion?
It depends on the content type. There are some content that we would be able to get historical data for, especially if you're an enterprise customer and you already have historical data that you've collected. Say you've been running an Exchange server for 4 years, maybe you've been archiving your Exchange emails, you can send that to us and get it to our archives. Yep.
Is this also doing phone calls on behalf of the companies and such?
We can. We do have partners that we work with that will collect audio recordings, and that can be put into our archives for review. Audio is sort of the next thing as far as compliance is concerned. It's not been a requirement yet. It's a requirement only for a very small subset of regulated business. So, yeah.
So compliance is a great thing so long as no one fiddles around with the archive. What Ernst & Young got really slapped with in 2008 and 2009 was the fact that they had fudged things in their system for large institutions they were doing auditing and accounting for. Do you have any sort of safeguards for this in your software?
So all of our data is stored in worm storage, which means that it's not modifiable. It's write once, read many. It's totally, completely unmodifiable, and that's where we come in as a compliance and archiving vendors. We attest to legally that we are archiving the data in its original format and it's unmodifiable. The customer cannot modify the data in our platform. All they can do is modify metadata associated with it. Yes.
Do you have an analytics feature or any sort of, way that you can help companies predict, say, nefarious, tweets going out from a broker-dealer who's making a recommendation about a stock pick that they shouldn't be, or is it purely just an archival function and then they would, do that sort of activity in different products?
So our policy engine can be set up in a way in which you can receive alerts, but it would be post, not pre, simply because we are an archive and we're not monitoring things as they're going, before they're getting published. Like a company like Hootsuite or other companies out there that do pre-review or moderation services are the ones that would really prevent something from hitting the social network.
Yeah.
But once it's out there, our policy engine can scour based on your whatever policies you have internally, look for phrases, keywords, words that are near each other, phrases that are near each other. We have pretty complex rules that we can build across the data, but we do have lots of customers, especially broker-dealers, using it for that very thing.
I'm curious about
Last question.
the transition from the people having to opt in. What happens, or do you have analysis tools to help you know if someone has taken official communication out of band? So someone who decides to start doing official business outside of one of their monitored accounts?
Oh, good question. So you're asking about monitoring social, basically monitoring social. Again, that's a service that we don't provide. That's more of a social monitoring tool. There are companies out there that's their main business and that's what they do well. They have big pipes into all the major social networks that they can basically watch constantly. Rating 6 comes to mind when I think about that. That's not our business. Our business isn't to monitor the internet. Our business is to take data that you explicitly are archiving, bring that into the platform and monitor that.
I guess I'm more thinking of official business that maybe started on a corporate email account and then transitioned off to a personal email account.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So as a regulated advisor, we'll say you are agreeing that you will not conduct business over private or personal accounts. You are legally agreeing that if you do and you get caught, you are responsible and not the broker-dealer. So it's more of a policy-driven thing because there's no way, it's impossible to know who's using it. You can't archive someone's personal email account without them doing something or giving you permission. It's just impossible. It's like saying you can't make a phone call from this payphone or we're going to listen in. It's, maybe the NSA can do it.
Yeah, nothing can.
We're not the NSA. We're not Big Brother. People always say, oh, so you're like Big Brother. Well, no, we're archiving and people know we're archiving. It's not a secret. It's intentional. You work for this company and they tell you in your employee policies or in your handbook, this is company business only, subject to monitoring.
Thank you so much.
Let's give it a hand.